Hello everyone, my name is Taking100 and welcome to the Okami Squadron channel. Today we're going to be talking about punishment menus. These are really good for if you have a moderation team on your server and you want to fine-tune or make the automated process of it a lot easier. So instead of them having to remember all the commands or the rules based on how long people get banned for and such, this system can completely automate that, so all they have to do is click one button and it'll even suggest if they get warned a certain amount of times, if they should be banned, all that kind of stuff. It'll keep track of how many times a player's been warned, how many times a player's been banned, and it'll change how long they get banned for and things like that automatically. This can also set warnings to have a set amount of time rather than being forever. So if you would like to make it so every 30 days they lose whatever warning they got, you can do that. But if you guys find this video helpful or enjoy it, please leave a like. If you want to see more or of my upcoming series, please subscribe. And I hope you all are having a great day. Let's get right on into it. Okay, so to start off, we're going to talk about requirements. For this, there's going to be a few different requirements. So for one, this video is recorded when Command Panels is on version 3.16.2.3. So if you're using any older version than that, you're going to make sure you need to update to latest. There's a lot of formatting changes that happen with placeholders and different things like that. So if you're on an older version, none of that will work. Next requirement is going to be Placeholder API. We're going to be using the other player extension for this. This will allow us to check if a different player than the person who has the panel open has a specific permission or anything like that. So you will need that installed and updated for this to work. So if you have Placeholder API installed, all you're going to want to do is poppy ecloud download and then other player. Once you do that, you'll want to do poppy reload, and there you go, you now have it installed. So that is the only other requirement for this tutorial besides a permission plugin. But if you're running a server or setting anything up, you will most likely have a permission plugin. If you don't, I am currently using Luckperms. Very simple, easy to use, free plugin. So once you have all that installed, you can then continue with this tutorial. So in this file, all it is a panel called tutmod. It has a permission of admin. If you change this from default, all you're going to want to do is give whoever the permission for command panel .panel.admin. And if you change this to anything else, say default, you just give it .default. If you changed it to shop.shop, blah, blah, blah. So that's the permission you'll have to give whoever you want to actually open this panel. For me, it's admins and any of my staff. So we're just going to leave as perm admin. I'm only doing 2 rows. It's just called a moderation menu. And I'm going to change this to blue stained glass pane just so it has some color to it. Now, we're going to get started. So for this, we are going to want a command to be able to run that'll open up the panel for us so that admins don't have to do /cp, whatever the panel name is, all that kind of stuff. So for this example, all you're going to do is go below title, type commands, make sure you only use spaces, never use tabs if you're ever creating any of these lines, or else it'll break the file. But we're going to make this tmod for my command. You can make it /mod, you can make it whatever you want. For me, I'm going to do tmod, and then we're going to do a placeholder here. The reason you're going to put a placeholder here is you're going to be able to put in a player name when you type in the command. So if I did /tmod tinytick100, this placeholder will be filled and we can use it in the panel so we know who we're trying to moderate. So for this, I'm just going to do chosen player. So this is one of the changes that was added in the formatting of the recent updates. It used to be for this, you would do CP chosen player, and this placeholder would be set. But as of the new update, this placeholder specifically in the panel commands is just whatever you want it to be called. After that, you will be using the CP in it. But since it is in the panel command, you're only going to put whatever you want it to be called. So now that we have that, I'm going to do panel types. What these are for is you can set specific types for a panel that allow them to do different things. For this, I'm going to do static. Reason for that is we're going to be using a player head, and for some reason with whatever client I'm using and 1.17, I've had issues where after the panel refreshes, the head changes to Steve or Alex instead of the player. So I'm going to put that on static, and then we're going to do no command. What no command does is it makes it so players cannot do /cp mod to open up the panel. They will have to do whatever the command is set. So /tmod chosen player, whatever. Make sure that's panel type, not panel types. So now that we have that, that's all the panel settings done. Now we're going to move on to creating items. So for this, I'm going to make the player head right here. So we're going to do CPS equals, and then we're going to put CP chosen player. So just like that, it'll now show the player of whoever we're trying to mod. And then for the name, I'm just going to say just the same placeholder, just so it's there. So now that we have that, it'll show who we are moderating so the player knows. And then we're going to add some lore. I'm just going to put, you are moderating. And then we're going to put the same placeholder. Just going to copy and paste it. And then I'm going to say, please make sure the name is typed correctly. And the player is online. Reason for that is Luckperms and other specific plugins require the player to actually be online to be able to do anything. And if you type the player's name wrong, it won't work. But with this command, if you have auto command registration on inside of your config of command panels, it'll make it so that this tmod is tab completable. So if you type it in, you'll see it in the actual command list. And then once you type tmod and then the space, it'll come up with all the different players online, and you can just tab whoever you're trying to type. So then you know for a fact their name is exactly what it needs to be. If not, just make sure your staff are typing the correct player names. So now that we have all that, this is just going to be the head that is shown. Now we're going to add a new item. Now I'm going to put it in slot, I think 13 is what it is. And for this, we're going to be doing a warn menu. So we're going to put it on 11 actually. So for the warn menu, I'm going to be using paper as the item that they click on to move to the warn menu. And all the name is going to be is warn and then the player name. Just like that. And I'm just going to say warn the player for something they did. Just like that. And now what we're going to want to do is set up the commands to actually move to the panel. The panel's not created yet, so it's not going to actually function, but we're going to set it up before we set up the panel just to make it quick and easy. So for the commands, what we're going to want to do is use open equals. Again, in the latest version, the formatting for this was changed a little bit. So make sure you're using the latest version. But we're going to do open equals. We're going to use the panel name. So for me, I'm going to make it tutorial mod, and then we're going to do warn, just like that. And then you're going to add another space. And now what we want to do is we want to move this chosen player placeholder to the next panel. So it basically saves who we're trying to moderate through every panel. So to do this, we're going to use square brackets. Inside those square brackets, you are then going to do what you want the placeholder to be called in the next panel. So as an example, if we go down here, for this, if you want, the format is next panel placeholder, and then it equals whatever value. So this is the format that goes inside these square brackets. But what we want to do is we want to set the next panel placeholder to equal whatever this placeholder equals. So to do this, all you're going to type is I'm going to move in the next panel. That's also going to be called chosen player. So all you're going to type is chosen player, just like that. You're going to use a semicolon, and then you're going to use the placeholder of CP chosen player. just like that. What that is going to do is it is going to set CP chosen player in the next panel to equal whatever it is in this panel. Make sure you add some hyphens at the end of this command, just so it doesn't break the YAML. Just like that. And now this command is set up properly to be able to move through panels and give the placeholder to each panel. In past versions, you wouldn't be able to use the same name for the placeholder. You'd have to add like a 2 or a 3 or change it completely to like band player or something like that. But in this version, you can set whatever placeholder you want to the same placeholder if you'd like. So that's the warn button. And I'm just going to make all the buttons right now. So now we're going to copy this twice. And I'm going to set this to now also have a kick. We're going to do kick player. And we're going to do kick player for something they did. Just like that. And then at the bottom, we are going to use, change the material of that. We need to change that to TNT. And this to barrier. And this last one is going to be ban. And we're just going to put ban player for something they did. So now we need to change this item so that it has the correct thing. So all you're going to do is instead of this being tutmod warn, I'm going to make this tutmod kick. And we can use the same exact placeholders. Doesn't need to be changed at all. And then I'm going to do tutmod ban, just like that. So now this first panel is now set up completely how we want it. If you would like to add any looks to it, you can edit in-game to add some cool looks or anything like that. But for this example, I'm just going to go extremely basic and show you how to set it up, not how to make it look pretty. So now that we have this, I'm going to move in game to test that the command is working and to show that the player actually gets filled in through all this. We're not going to be able to open up any panels yet, but we will create that in a second. So I will see you in game. So now that we're in game, if we do tutmod, or tmod, sorry, and then the player name. So since I've not restarted the server, it will not actually update to tab fill. So we're just going to do that. It'll open up the panel, and you can see it says TinyTaking100, you are moderating TinyTaking100. Make sure the name is typed correctly and the player is online. And then if you look at everything else, it says warn TinyTaking100, kick TinyTaking100, and ban TinyTaking100. So that's the basics for the menu. If you see right now, we can't click on anything, it won't do anything. But that is working. So now we can move on to making the next panel. So we're going to make a warn panel next. And what we're going to want to do is copy and paste this. So I'm going to copy, paste, and then change the name. Just like that. And then right here, we're going to change this to warn so that it'll open up the panel properly. And then we're going to change this to warning. So for the commands, we're now going to update these. So if you'd want it so that you can do /tmod space warn and then the player name, just go straight to a panel, you can add that. So if we do warn and then the player name. Now if you do /tmod warn player name, it'll open up this panel directly. Again, same panel types. And now all we're going to do is get rid of everything except for these two things. So this one will stay the same, just so that you can see which player you're trying to warn. And then this we're now going to use as a new warning. So we're going to do warn player for hacks. And then for this, we're going to say warn the player for hacking on the server. And the commands, we can actually remove everything inside that line because we're going to change this out for something else. So for this command, I am using a tell raw generator to create a message that'll show up for the player. So I'm just going to paste that in. There we go. So all it's going to do is console equal tell raw. We're going to change this to be chosen player. Just like that. So it's CP chosen player. And then all of this command is just the normal tell raw command inside Minecraft. You can use any generator to do it, but all it's saying is this is a This is a warning for hacking. Please leave the server, disable your hacks. If you're caught hacking again, further action will be taken. You've been warned. So that's the first command that is actually going to warn the player. So the other player will get that in their chat. Then what we're going to want to do is give them a permission that'll allow us to keep track of how many warnings they have. So for this, I am going to be using temporary perms to allow the warning to go away after a certain amount of time. So all we're going to do is console equals Luckperms user. We're going to do CP chosen player. Permission set temp. And then we're going to do mod.warn.hacks.1. So you can make this whatever you want, but for me, I'm just going to make it mod so we know it's from the moderation menu. It's a warning, it's for whatever the warning is, and the offense number. So for this, it's just going to be 1. And we're going to set that to true, and I'm going to set it for, we're going to do 30 seconds for this. Actually, for this example, we're going to do 1 minute. I think that might be 1 month. I'm not sure what it'll choose. Just like that. So that'll set a temporary perm. Then I'm going to do another tell raw. This one is going to be for the actual moderator. So it'll send them a message. So for this, console equals tell raw CP player name, which is the person who has the panel open. And then all it is saying is you have warned, and I'm going to change this to chosen player again. So all it is going to say is you have warned the player for hacking. It'll clear in however long you want. So for that, I'm just going to leave 30 days the same. And then at the very end, all we're going to want to add is CPC, which is command panels close. That'll close the panel whenever it is clicked. So this is the basics of how to set up a warn. Right now, it won't actually be used to show how many offenses they have or automate any systems. This will just warn the player directly. But now we're going to move on to actually make it so that it'll show how many offenses they've had and change based on how many they have. So for this, we're going to be using a has value. This is part of has sections. If you have not learned anything about has sections or don't know how they work, I'll leave a card in your top right, so you can go check that video out real quick and watch it. If you'd like to follow along, you can, but that'll help you understand everything about has sections and what they do. So for this, we're going to be using has value. We're going to do a value of true, and we are going to compare this long placeholder. So for this placeholder, we're going to be using other player. So it's other player underscore has perm underscore, and then this is going to be the player name. So for this, we're going to do chosen player underscore perm underscore whatever it is. So for this, we're going to copy what we had earlier, and we're going to paste it in here. So mod warn hacks 1. So what this has value is currently doing is comparing the other player has placeholder and trying to see if it is true or false. What this placeholder returns is if the player has the perm, it'll say true. If they don't have the perm, it'll say false. So we are checking if they have the perm. Next thing you're going to want to do is these placeholders endings right here. They will kind of screw with the placeholder and it doesn't work through command panels that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a secondary bracket. So by default, command panels does %signs as the primary placeholder and squiggly brackets as the secondary placeholder. This can be changed inside of your config of command panels if you'd like. You can also make it per panel by just adding the same thing that is in the config to the actual panel settings. and you can change them per panel. So if you wanted, you can make it so that command panels placeholders are only read using $ or something like that. Or if you'd like to change the secondaries to be different, you can. But for this example, we're going to leave it as default. So make sure you use squiggly brackets on the inside placeholder, which is just for the player name. And for the rest of the placeholder, use the normal stuff. So now we are going to make a name, material, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. And it's going to be warn the player for hacks, warn the player for hacking on the server. And in the lore, we are then going to add another thing, and we're going to put offense. And we're going to do 1, or offense 2, since this is the second time. And for the first part, we are going to add offense 1 to the first part. Gonna make it just gray so it doesn't look bad since it's their first one. Then for the second one, we're going to make it show up red so that they know it's there. Actually, we'll make it orange. So just like that, if they have the permission of the warning, it'll then show that they have that warning. And we'll show the moderator that this is their second offense of a warning. So now we're going to copy the commands we were using above. Make sure to space them over, do not use tabs. And we're going to change them a little bit. So all we really need to change is the Luckperms command. So for this, I'm going to change this ending one to 2. So now it's going to give them the second offense permission. So now if they don't have any warnings, it'll show the first item. When you click, it'll give them their first warning. If they do have a warning, it'll show this item, and when they click, it'll give them their second warning. Now we need to make it so that it'll show up for their second warning as offense 3, and that they should possibly be banned, and tell the administrator to move to the banning process. So for this, we're going to use the exact same has value. So just paste it in. And now all we're going to want to do is over here where this other player has is for the first offense, we're going to make it for the second offense. And then we're going to put offense 3 in red. And then below that, we're going to put suggestion to ban player. Oops. Just like that. So it'll show the administrator that they should ban the player. And then for this part, we're going to actually remove all of these commands. And we're going to use the open equals command. So we're going to do open equals. We're going to do, for me, tutorial mod ban. And then the same thing we did earlier with the chosen player. So chosen player, semicolon, %, CP chosen player. Just like that. And then make sure you hyphen across it so that it works and doesn't break. So just like that, it'll open the next menu saying that they should ban them. So since we have a second has value now, this has value down here will not work. Well, technically it will. It'll just cover this one up, so this one will never be shown. So what we're going to want to do is take this one and add a 0 to the end of it. The reason we put the second warning as the first one is if the first warning one was first, it would always show that they only had a second offense. It would never work for the third offense. So we're going to put 2 above, 1 below. Make sure you add the 0, and this will now work completely properly, allowing you to warn the player and also say that they should move to banning. So now that we have that, we're going to go in game and test. I know this can be a lot happening at one time with the panel, but hopefully all my explanations have helped and allowed you to understand it. But in game, we're going to do /CPR, and then we're going to do tutorial, tmod for me actually. So tmod, Titantank 100. If we do that, you'll see it says Titantank 100, you are moderating, kick ban, blah, blah, blah. If we click warn, it'll now move to the warning panel where you see it now says warning at the top. It says you were moderating Titantank 100, and if we hover over this, it says warn for hacks. Player is warned for hacking. The reason it says offense 3 is because I am currently opt. So if I do, since I have I will get my alt on real quick. There we go. You'll now see command panels. My alt is now on. So if we do tmod command panels, you'll then see it says command panels, warn, kick, ban. So if we go to warn, you'll now see it says warn this player for hacking on the server. They're on their first offense because it is their first warning. If we click it, you'll now see you have warned command panels for hacking. This will clear in 30 days. It'll set the permission for 1 minute. Now, if we go over to the command panels, you will see it says this warning is for hacking. Please leave the server and disable your hacks. If you're caught hacking again, further action will be taken. You've been warned. Just like that, they will get warned for the message. They get the permission added. And if we do the command again, you can look at it and it says they're on offense 2. If we click it again, they'll get added and warned again. And if we go back, it now says offense 3, suggest ban player. Right now that does nothing because we do not have that panel set up. But just like that, that is how you would set up different offenses. If you would want, you can add multiple different items that have different offenses, different messages, all that kind of stuff. All you have to do is change the permission that is given, or if you'd rather not change and have the same permission for everything, you can do that and make it so that if they get 3 warnings for anything that they've broken, then they will get further action taken where they get banned for 3 days or however long. But we are now going to move on the kick menu so we can learn how to make that. So what we're going to do is copy and paste this panel again. And I'm going to change this to kick. Change this top part to kick. And we're going to do kicking. Change this part to kick. Just like that. You are moderating, blah, 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 blah. And since this is just a kick thing, we don't need any of the has values or anything like that. So we can get rid of that. Get rid of all the commands. We can change the paper to TNT. We can do kick player for hacks. And then we'll just put kick the player for hacking. Get rid of the offense number. And now all we need to do is kick. We'll add the hyphens. So kick. We'll do console equals actually. Kick CP chosen player for you have been kicked for hacking. Just like that. Please disable your cheats or further action will be taken. Just like that. And if you want to make it red, you can. So that's the basics of kicking. Super simple. You can set whatever you would like for the message. You can make multiple different messages so they can kick for different things. All that. But that's just the super easy part. So that's the kick menu done. Now we're going to move on to banning and just knock them both out real quick. So we're going to copy the warn menu again since we're going to need the has values this time. And we're going to change this to ban. Edit the panel. We're going to change this to ban. We're going to change it to banning. We're going to do a ban chosen player. Just like that. So for this part, it's all almost exactly the same. You're just going to want to change the commands a little bit. But we're going to do ban the player for hacking on the server. Offense 1. Change all this to ban. Make the paper barrier. I'm just going to copy and paste this so it's the same through all of them. So now what we're going to do is, if you want, you can do the tell raws again. But for this example, I'm just going to remove the tell raws. Just since we are going to be using a different command this time. So for this, I'm going to set the permission to, instead of warn, we're going to do ban for hacks 1. And we're going to set this to stay for 30 days, however long you want to do it. And then all we're going to do is add another command of console equals ban. What you'll want to do is, if you have any other plugins that can do different banning systems, you'll have to update it. But for me, I'm just going to do temp ban CP chosen player. And all this will depend on how you want to do your moderation. So for this example, I'm just going to make it so that after each offense, it'll slowly go up in time. So we're going to temp ban the player for 1 day. We'll do 24 hours. And then we will say you have been banned for hacking. And then you can put you were banned by, I'm going to do hashtag CP player name, just in case you want to keep track for any sort of appeals or anything like that. You can say who banned them so you can talk with them and know exactly why they banned the player. And then if you'd like, you can also add an appeal link. So we'll put appeal at, and then we'll just put link, which won't actually be a link, but if you want to add the link, you can. And that should be all we need for the banning process. So we're going to copy these commands and we're going to put them in the other ones. Just like that. So now for this part, we need to change it from warn to ban hacks 2, and this one as well. We're going to do mod ban hacks 1. So for this has value, this is the last offense. So offense 3, the most severe one they can get. We're going to change it to a permaban. So we're going to give the permission. We're not going to set temp. We're just going to set as 3 for true. So that means they were permabanned and they will no longer be able to join the server. So for this command, instead of using temp ban, we're just going to do ban the player. You've been banned for hacking. You were banned by appeal link, blah, blah, blah. So that is the permaban set. So if they hack twice, get banned twice, the third time they will get permad. Then for this one, it'll be the first offense, or second offense, I should say. So we're going to ban them as 2 for, we'll do 60 days since it'll be a longer ban. And then we're going to temp ban the player for, we'll do 2 weeks. And then same thing, you've been banned, blah, blah, blah. So that is the entire moderation menu set up with just a few different examples of how you would do it. All you need to do is copy and paste these items and change the reasoning, all that kind of stuff, to allow you to have more automated setups. But now we're going to go in game and test. So once we're in game, /CPR, and now if we do /tmod command panels, you'll now see all of these different menus work. So kick the player for hacking, blah, blah, blah. If you'd want, you can add back buttons. All you have to do is the same thing, open equals whatever the main menu panel name is, and then pass the placeholder through as usual. But as you can see, you can go through all of them, warn the player. The reason it says offense 3 is because I have tested this before using some older panels that I use on my actual server. So he technically has the permissions. I'll get rid of those before testing in a second. But if we go back to warning, you'll see the warnings have worn off since they were only there for a minute, and it shows offense 1 again. So that shows how you can use temporary permissions to change how many offenses they get per month or per year, however much you want to set. But real quick, we'll just test the kick mechanic. So kick player for hacks, if we click it, it says kick by console, you have been kicked for hacking, please disable your cheats, blah, blah, blah. If we go to command panels, you'll see it says you have been kicked for hacking. Please disable your cheats or further action will be taken. We go back in game. Just like that. I will now get rid of the perms and I can show how banning works. Okay, so now that I fixed that, if we go ban, it says offense 1, ban the player for hacking. So if we do this, you'll see they get the permission for 4 weeks, 2 days, blah, blah, blah. It'll say you have temporarily banned for 1 day. They have been banned for hacking or banned by TinyTank100, appeal at whatever the link is. So that's how you would set that up. Now, if we unban him, so /unban and panels, it'll unban them. And then if we leave the permissions the same and rejoin with my alt, just like that, if we now go back to the moderation and go banning, you'll see it now says offense 2. So this one will be a little bit longer of a ban, so we'll do it again. Temporary ban for 14 days. You've been banned for hacking. You were banned by blah, blah, blah. And if we unban again, join back. Now if we go, it'll say offense 3, suggest to permaban player. Now if we click this, it says you've been permabanned. Now they will not have a temporary ban. This will be forever. They will not be able to join the server again. And it's set the permission mod ban hacks to 3 for true, and they will never be able to join or get rid of that permission. So it'll always be there whenever you look at your moderation menus. So hopefully this video helped you set up a perfect moderation menu to automate the setup for your staff. If you guys have any questions, I will be leaving the Command Panels Wiki and Discord in the description. If you would like to hop into the Discord and ask any questions, I am a developer and moderator on there, so I will be answering your questions whenever I can. We also have a few other people in there to answer your questions when they can. If you would like to ask any questions to me directly, you can also comment on the video. I'll get back to you whenever I can. My website will also be in the description. There is a resources tab that allows you to download a bunch of different command panels that I have created for free to be able to use on your server. I have recently added a online player browser on there that was requested many times by many people in the Command Panels Discord. So if you'd like to check that out, it is in the description. So if you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful, remember to leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this or of my upcoming series, make sure to subscribe. Thank you all for the support, and I hope you're having a great time. I'll see you in the next one.